Chairman Maxwell, are you with us on the phone?
Yeah, I am. I'm here. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I'm still on the coast. I got some things going on. But I wanted to say thank you guys for putting me together on the phone. I've asked Commissioner Presley if he would run the meeting for me today, so he's going to take it over from here.
Thank you, Chairman Maxwell. We'll turn it over to Commissioner Bailey, who's going to introduce our pastor for today.
All right. Hopefully, is Pastor Chip Stevens on the line?
Yes, sir.
All right. He's here. Good deal. Well, good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. Good to have you back here in January 2020. Hopefully, this is the preview of a very productive year going forward, and it's my honor to introduce Chip Stevens. Unfortunately, he couldn't be with us today. I don't think he got snowed in, but if y'all are like me, we got about 8 inches of snow at the house over the weekend, so we had some fun times out in the front yard. I don't think everybody had advantage to participate in the winter wonderland that occurred in central Mississippi. But Mr. Chip Stevens, Pastor Stevens, he's the senior pastor at the First Baptist Church of Jackson. Prior to coming to Jackson, he was at Starkville First Baptist Church, where my mother, my sister, and my brother-in-law are members, and my brother-in-law is a member of the deacons there. So our family has a good relationship with Pastor Stevens, and it's my honor for him to join us today and to kick off our this year, 2022, as well as today's session of the Public Service Commission with opening prayer. Over to you, Pastor Stevens.
Sir, let's pray together. Our Father, we bow before you this morning, and we just begin by praising you, for you are God Almighty, the creator of heaven and earth. You are on your throne, you see all, you hear all, you know all, and you are over all. And we take such great comfort in that, particularly in the times in which we live. Father, I come before you, and I pray for these commissioners. Just thank you so much for them and their willingness to serve you, and they being your instruments of helping those in our state. And Father, I just pray for them. Your word tells us that if we lack wisdom, to ask of you, and you give it liberally and without reproach. And so, Lord, I pray that you will grant them your wisdom today as they meet and as they make decisions. We don't know the future. We don't know all the things that go on around us, but you do know all things. And so we trust in you. We count on you. We count on your power, and we take such great comfort in your presence. And Lord, I pray again for your blessing over their meeting today, your blessing over their families, and your blessing over our state. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Y'all will join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. We'll try to get through the agenda. All right, first item up is the consent document agenda, the adoption of proposed consent document, questions, amendments, or additions to that. Hearing none, we have a motion to approve that as presented.
Motion approved as presented.
Second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those ayes have it. Moving to energy, agenda item number 1. Mr. Hammond, I'll recognize you before we get to the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick procedural note on motion intervened by Rankin County, Mississippi, was filed this docket on November 8, 2021. The order before you that is going to be presented by the staff grants Rankin County's motion to intervene in this docket. This is an annual docket that has annual filings. The Rankin County will be afforded full rights as an intervener in this docket moving forward.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, we'll recognize you for item 1, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order docket number 2013 UN 178, Kankakee, Mississippi, LLC, implement standard rate change.
Thank you, Commissioner. On November 5th, 2021, Energy filed its annual energy cost recovery rider referred to as ECR4, as well as its percentage adjustment factors for the power management. The ECR4 is Energy's fuel adjustment clause through which it is allowed to recover the actual cost of fuel burned and purchased energy pursuant to the Mississippi Code 77.342. For 2022, the proposed ECR factor will increase from negative 0.019957 cents per kilowatt hour to a factor of the negative 0.00881 cents per kilowatt hour for February 2022 through January 2023. The monetary amount associated with this change is an increase of $142.5 million, which increases 1,000 kilowatt hours residential bill by $11.14 per month. The primary drivers of the increase in higher projected costs for 2022, including the under recovery of the February of 2021 winter storm fuel costs. On December 6th, EML proposed a mitigation due to the under recovery balance as of December 31st, 2021, amortized over 3 years, resulting in an increase of an $8.14 impact on the customer's bill. If the commission were to approve this alternative, the impact of redetermined fuel factor on the monthly bill of a typical residential customer using 1,000 kilowatt hours would be reduced by $3 to a net increase for all riders of $4.65. We'll get to that later. This mitigation plan failed. We in discussion with the company regarding the December mitigation filing, staff and commission staff worked in tandem for an alternative that would address under recovery moving forward. This includes $100 million amortized over 2 years at a projected gas price of $3.60, carrying costs recovered, weighted average cost of capital. The proposed ETR factor will increase from 0.01997 per kilowatt hour to a factor of 0.00866 per kilowatt hour for February 2022 through January 2023. This results in an $11.30 fuel increase. Gas prices are not shifting downward, and recovering at least a portion of these fuel costs would prevent a scenario where an additional under recovery in 2022 leads to a rate increase in 2023. So, staff's review of the December filing led us to this second mitigated change, which was essentially looking at paying some of it and having the projected gas cost adjusted to avoid such a kind of a drastic under recovery next year. And that's what we recommend.
All right, any questions? Just based on the new filing here, the adjusted figures for the under recovery, what's going to be accrued for now mitigated over 2 years, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And based on the current gas price and the carrying cost, are you prepared to sort of handicap what the potential impacts are at this point next year? Do we seem to have under a good grasp the ability to avoid another sharp increase at this time based on these current projections and what we're looking at?
We feel like this is a good step forward, but one of the things we do want to recommend is a review every 90 days before the commission with both MPCO and EML looking at fuel factors to make sure that as we get further along in the year, we're taking account of everything. That's just another mitigation step we'd like to take.
I certainly think it's a more responsible action that we took on this to begin recovery now, rather than deferring the complete amount, just to ensure we're not in a potentially worse position having to put that on ratepayers at this time next year. I know it's never comfortable to make a decision to increase rates, but given the current status of energy cost projections being used and what's going on in the real world, I appreciate at this point what we've done to begin to reduce that impact while hopefully not having similar influences at this time next year.
Mr. Mayor, let me ask you a quick question. So, just from the mechanics, and I just want to put this in grocery store language more than anything else. We have $122 million under recovery. We're going to include $22 million of that.
We're going to include $100 million.
I just give you $100 million and defer. My understanding is not that. What is the actual total is 122, how much are we deferring?
I think that,
I would say, so, just my understanding, last year's program year was a $80 million under recovery. However, based on the current, at the time, projected fuel costs, projections and where the range fits, we're already a couple months past the 2021 program year into 2022, and still experiencing an under recovery. At the current point, as of whatever day when a lot of this happened, we were approximately at that 120 million. However, instead of taking it all now, getting into the 2022 program year, we're eating into it somewhat, not bite the whole thing off.
That's what I'm saying, how much is it? So, I mean, the public,
we're
how much,
essentially deferring about 20 million.
you're deferring 20,
Yeah,
and the company's proposal was to defer the whole amount.
yes, that's correct.
And so,
80 the first time.
80 the first time, so
80 the first time.
so,
their original November 5th filing was to collect the entire thing. The mitigated filing,
I mean, the commissioner asked to look at mitigation plan
right,
that come in.
the mitigated filing was to look at 80 million. We bumped that up.
My understanding, 5 minutes before I walked onto this bench, was that it was right with reverse. Well, this was $100 million referral, and we're eating into it at $22 million mark.
But we've also since then significantly adjusted the forecast, the price forecast as well, which does have an impact on your.
And that goes from $3 to $3.60. Well, what are we doing on Mississippi Power? Because my understanding was that the first proposal was, and agreed to, that Mississippi Power Company would just simply roll the dice on what the market would do next year, and hoping that their recovery would be absolved because of that. So are they having their ratepayers going to
Yes,
follow up?
we're recommending they recover over a 2-year period, so they recovered
How much they have?
50%. Their total under recovery was around 22 million, and we're recommending they recover 50% of that this year, 50% next year.
Again, we'll continue to evaluate and navigate review.
Well, I just don't understand the logic in, we're making, the percentage on recovery for energy is obviously way more than 50%. They got more customers to spread it out over. Mississippi Power is 50%, but we're recovering, if my math's right, from Melvin High School, somewhere around, 80% maybe of this?
The reasoning being that differences in the company, the size of the under recovery, the way Mississippi Power projected fuel costs is a bit more conservative than EML. And we felt like we were trying to be even-handed and trying to make both address under recovery next year while at the same time paying something right now as a way to just find it later.
Oh, I don't disagree with the idea that we pay something right now. I'm in agreement with that. I'm in agreement with the fact that it's changed the gas forecast. I think that's why. I don't think any of us know what that could be. I guess the thing that bothers me is that we've got one company that's on the recovery half theirs. And we've got another one with a much bigger number. We got many more customers. That this cost is spread out under, therefore lessening the impact of the customer. And we're recovering 50% from one company this year, allowing a 2-year deferral on 50%. On another one, we're collecting 80% and allowing a 2-year deferral on 20%.
Again, it was just looking at the EML scenario, it was looking at companies differently, other than, and not just providing an hand to both. You can look at that scenario if you'd like us to.
I just want to be on the record. This is y'all's recommendation to do this.
Yes.
And when people's bills go up, y'all have recommended that this is the formula that the commission adopts.
Yes. It is.
All right, any other questions? We have a motion to approve the order as presented.
I got a motion to approve the order presented for, docket 2013 UN 178.
Second, do we have any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those no, the ayes have it. Item number 2, discussion and possible action regarding proposed order in docket number 2014 UN 132, Entity Mississippi LLC, notice of Entity Mississippi Incorporated, to modernize rates to support economic development, power procurement, and continued investment, better known as UPC-4, Mr. Mayor.
So this was also followed by email on November 5th. Staff reviewed the unit power cost recovery rider, or UPC-4. The UPC-4 factor is used to provide energy cost recovery related to capacity costs, wholesale baseload generation purchased from Energy Arkansas. The proposed percentage adjustment factor decreased from 2.67% to 2.329%. The monetary amount associated with the change in the UPC-4 factor is decreased approximately $4 million, which results in a 38% decrease in an average residential customer bill. The decrease is due to a larger overall recovery in 2019 as a result of lower than projected grand health costs due to the reduction in the series depreciation rate. In addition, there is a projected increase in base revenue in 2022 as compared to 2021. And that's our recommendation. We follow this.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? If none, we have a motion to approve item 2.
Motion to approve item 2 is presented.
Second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those no, the ayes have it. Item number 3, discussion and possible action regarding proposed order in docket number 2014 UN 132, Entity Mississippi LLC, notice of intent, Entity Mississippi Incorporated, modernize rates to support economic development, power procurement, and continued investment, TMR, Mr. Mayor.
Again, followed by email on November 5th. Staff reviewed the company's power management cost adjustment factor for PMR-12. The PMR-12 rider is designed to recover the company's natural gas hedging costs and various other costs such as capacity, external legal, and consulting costs and carrying costs that are excluded from recovery in the ETR rider. The PMR-12 factor is decreasing from 0.877 to negative 0.955%, which increases the 1,000 kilowatt-hour residential bill by $2.05 per month. The monetary amount associated with the change in the PMR factor is a decrease of $21.7 million. The PMR rate is decreasing primarily due to $14 million in hedging gains. The company resulted in a change in the true-up year-over-year from $8 million under collection to $15 million over collection. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you, sir. Any questions on item number 3? If none, we have a motion to approve item 3 is presented.
Motion to approve.
Second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those no, the ayes have it. Item 4, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order in docket number 2017 UA 189, Entity Mississippi LLC, application of Entity Mississippi to continue participation in MISO. Mr. Mayor.
Again, filed November 5th by email. Staff reviewed the MISO cost and revenue rider, which referred to as the MISO 2 rider. The MISO 2 rider was approved in 2015 for energy to recover or credit the cost for revenues associated with MISO membership. It cannot be flowed through the fuel adjustment cost. The proposed MISO 2 factor decreased from negative 2.98% for 2021 to negative 4.03% for 2022, which results in a $1.17 decrease on an average residential customer bill. The monetary amount associated with the change is an increase of approximately $12 million in the credit received from MISO. The change in the factor is driven largely by the increase in current year volume. Rider revenue, secondary drivers, and an increase in the current year MISO credits for the 12 months ended 2021. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you, sir. All right, any discussion on item number 4? If none, we have a motion to approve that order is presented.
Motion to approve order is presented.
Second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those no, the ayes have it. Item 5, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order in docket number 2017 UN 198, Entity Mississippi, notice of intent of Entity Mississippi for recovery of electric grid modernization and rural fiber costs. Mr. Mayor.
Again, followed on November 5th by email. Staff also reviewed Energy's grid modernization cost adjustment rider, GMR 1. The GMR 1 rider was approved for Energy to recover its costs associated with the expansion of fiber optic infrastructure in rural areas of Mississippi in support of broadband expansion. Energy and ceasefire signed an agreement in 2018 for Energy to lease fiber from ceasefire to service grid modernization needs, while ceasefire uses its excess fiber to provide broadband service to customers in the area. Energy and ceasefire grid fiber routes within Mississippi to expand broadband. The proposed GMR factor is increasing from 0.202% from 2021 to 0.29% in 2022. The total revenue requirement of approximately $3.5 million results in an increase of 11 cents on an average residential customer's monthly bill. The resulting increase is due to a higher return on investment and higher projected revenue requirement resulting from additional fiber projects closing the plant in 2021 and a change in depreciation from 20 years to 10 years combined with the lower over-recovery compared to the previous year. In addition, EML proposes the resiliency ramp-up be added to the GMR following the events of Hurricane Ida. EML was asked whether it could quickly accelerate these projects under its existing transmission asset renewal programs to further enhance the reliability and resiliency of EML's transmission grid. After review, EML proposed an acceleration of its existing wood pole renewal program for resiliency ramp-up to be done quickly and in a manner that is likely to further enhance the reliability and resiliency of the EML's transmission grid. EML currently spends $15 million per year on transmission line renewal projects that include wood pole replacement of approximately 400 structures per year. At the current level, all wood structures will be replaced in 28 years. Under the resiliency ramp-up, EML would add 2 additional transmission crews that would allow replacement of an additional 500 structures per year, reducing the time for replacement of wood poles to 11 years. EML proposes to spend approximately $10 million on this effort in 2022 as the program scales up, with the amount increasing to $15 million in 2023 as both transmission crews are fully onboarded. Recovery through GMR allows for greater transparency from an accounting and auditing perspective and will allow EML to more efficiently track all the wood pole replacement costs. The total rate impact of both the existing wood pole replacement costs and the cost of the resiliency ramp-up on the monthly bill of a typical residential customer using 1,000 kilowatt hours per month would be an increase of approximately 14 cents per month, which would be partially offset by a reduction in the FBR rate as the current costs are realigned through the 2023 FRP filing. EML proposes to track the benefits associated with the resiliency ramp-up and report in EML's annual transmission and distribution plan filed with the Commission. So the total increase from GMR will be 25 cents to an average ratepayer's bill, including both parts of the GMR. That recommends approval.
Thanks, sir. Any questions? Just a couple real quick, going back to the first matter around of the recovery on the leasing of fiber. And I know as part of this is a master agreement is indicated in the information provided to you that EML lease fiber on these 5 routes from ceasefire to service grid modernization needs, while ceasefire uses its excess fiber to provide broadband service to customers in the area along those 5 routes. Do we have any kind of knowledge or information around the number of customers that are being served, rural broadband, high-speed broadband from the development of these fiber routes?
I don't offhand. I can go back and find out, or we can ask if any company representatives in the room provide that information.
I mean, earlier on, that was one of the selling points of this. Are we now seeing that benefit for rural customers to access these services?
Commissioner, we can provide that information to you so that you can be able to evaluate the FSC.
Okay, thank you. And on the next matter, the acceleration grants with wood pole, I think you referred to it as the resiliency ramp-up component. And I know we didn't take this up last time because there was awaiting certain amounts of information to have a better idea of how these expenditures be made, the benefits provided, the mechanisms, and different aspects of that. I know there was some information exchange between our office and Energy Mississippi to gather more information from that. I followed up with a request back on December 29th with some requests for additional information, and as of this morning, I should have not received that. The breadth of that, or really the meat of that last round of requests for information was just sort of an accounting of the location of the current wood transmission structures that are out there, where those are located, and sort of condition of such as we're proposing to accelerate the replacement of assets that in certain cases may still have useful life. And just wanted, I still haven't received that information, so you can move forward to approving without our office having the information requested, or respectfully ask if that component be.
They all have extension. You have that. What's the reason for the delay? It's 2 months that we've been trying to get this voted on. I just found out about this right now. What's the
I
problem?
apologize, Commissioner. We've been talking in Fisher's office. We are in the process of pulling together that map. He asked for a map of the 18,000 structures we have in the 45 counties that we serve.
Is there a dispute as to whether you have the structures or not?
You know, Fisher is putting them on a map that can be accessed easily. We were in the process of doing that, and as they went and looked at the actual physical locations where they showed up on the map, they had some questions about the accuracy of the data.
What accuracy of what?
Of the actual physical locations that were showing up of the structures where they were physically on the map. And so we gave feedback to the commission. We were looking for some more time to just make sure that map was as accurate as we could make it before we provided it to them, given the depth and amount of information that's on that map.
Well, I know we're 2 months into this, and I follow the public utility staff. I know they work relentlessly to try to get this together. I'm the person that first brought this up. I don't want to take bear the blame of whatever's going on here. But God forbid, between now and when this information that y'all can't seem to get, or whatever the problem is, that we have an ice storm, and y'all have sat in my office and said, I don't know if you said this to Commissioner Bailey or not, but you sat in my office and said that wooden structures are several times more susceptible to damage related to ice and storms than are steel and concrete. And if the idea somewhere in this agency is that steel and concrete are not more resilient, we ought to revisit the fact that ever since we started building new transmission projects in 2009, all of those projects have been steel and concrete. And the program that we brought forward has gone through a hellacious review in both agencies for the last at least 4 months, has been, and the proof is in what Mr. Mabry just said. We're going from a 28-year prospect to when these poles will be replaced, which we know will make our grid more resilient. Common sense tells you, if that's not the truth, we should have been doing steel and concrete this whole time. But every metric has shown that wooden poles are more susceptible to damage in hurricanes and ice storms, truck wrecks, car wrecks, drunk drivers, you name it, than are steel and concrete. And I'm fine to take it off the agenda another month. But maybe we won't have an ice storm, and we won't have 2 more crews out there doing it. And that's just a risk I guess we have to take, because obviously somebody can either get information or something. And as the author of this idea of trying to do it, I can't find anybody. I went around my district asking everybody I could talk to, would you pay 14 more cents to shave off 17 years on transmission planning, knowing that distribution will have tons of problems there, the cost is prohibitive. And I haven't found anybody else that is not willing to put up 14 cents a month to cut off 17 years. So whatever the information is that y'all can't seem to get together, or can't, I don't know what the problem is, but when can y'all get that?
Commissioner, I feel very confident we have it in the next week, and respectfully, if the commission wants to make the order condition on us getting that information before it becomes effective, we're glad to.
I just feel like every month, the last 2 months we get here, it's just something else that hasn't been filed.
And again, I apologize. We just want to make sure that information we got to the commission was as accurate as we can possibly make it.
might be acceptable to the conditioning as indicated by Mr. Vanderloo there. So move forward once information comes to our office. And, we're confident and comfortable with the amount of information and our understanding of.
But I don't know how that works, Commissioner Bailey, because I don't know how we get to the point that you initial off that you're comfortable and then that's a legal order. That doesn't work. That's not legally available avenue, I don't think.
We'll take that off the table.
If I could, Commissioner, the data he asked for was a mapping of the physical structures, and then my proposal would be that the commission approve the order condition on us providing that back to the commissioner before the direct becomes effective.
I think you're filing it, you can file it confidentially. I mean, if that's the case, I mean, would that work out? I mean, I get where you're coming from, I'm just saying, I don't know if we can effectuate an order based on when somebody's agreeable with the info, but if they make a notice filing, if the order is conditioned on a notice filing of that map, filed confidentially, obviously, I don't assume it would have to be filed confidentially, that then the order would effectuate once that map is filed.
I'm fine with that, sir.
Yeah, but then 5 days. How long is it gonna take you to do this?
Could I have a week, Commissioner?
Look, Mr. Bailey, I don't know. That's 2 months.
Thank you, a couple of days.
Whatever the necessary time
Right
frame
now,
is.
you want to give me a fine, but.
This is, like I said, this commissioner's primary project and idea, whatever.
But I'm not raising an objection, so, I mean, you're just telling me what day you want it, we'll make that day.
14 working days suffice.
You just said you could do it 7.
That's right, and,
Okay.
January 25th?
okay, thank you.
So the motion, as I take it from Commissioner Bailey, the motion is approved contingent upon notice filing being made by Entergy in this docket of the wooden structure locations no later than January 25th. If said information is filed, the order will effectuate at that time. That's not good work now. Okay, is that your motion?
That is my,
Second, that, any discussion? All in favor, say aye, opposed, no, ayes have it. All right, moving to item number 6, discussion of possible action regarding the proposed order adopted on the 2018 UN 258 Entergy Mississippi LLC, notice of intent for return of restructuring customer bill credits. Mr. Baker.
Commissioner, I'm going to go over this and then offer an overall rate impact.
I was gonna say that'd be helpful, we've had some many on there. Thank you.
So this is also filed November 5th by EML. Staff reviewed the annual restructuring credit rider, Schedule RC1. The rider is in compliance with Commission Order dated September 25th, 2018, and docket number 2018 UA 039, where the Commission approved the company's restructuring filing in order for the company to seek more favorable tax treatment. In the September 25th order, Entergy was directed to provide customer bill credits of $27 million over 6 years through the restructuring credit rider. The company proposes that the recalculated restructuring credit adjustment factor of a negative 0.364% be applied beginning with February billing, which will result in a monthly increase of 4 cents for an average residential customer using 1,000 kilowatt hours. The RC1 factor increased from negative 0.4001% due to a true-up resulting from the actual customer bill credit exceeding the guaranteed customer bill credit combined with an increase in projected base revenue. Increasing the factor properly aligns the credit amount with the $4.5 million allocated to the period. Just also note this will expire in 2024. Staff recommends approval of the RC1 factor filing. And then for an overall, taking into account all these riders.
This is every item that's on the agenda. Everyone make sure it goes in the press. They're all in to get this correct.
Everything 1 through 6. The overall beginning of February billing, an average residential customer using 1,000 kilowatt hours should experience an increase of $7.81 per month. That's a large increase in ECR four offset with the other riders.
$7.81. To be clear,
That's using staff, recommendation.
but just to be clear, that isn't encompassing everything that we've taken up. Some of it's been increases, some of it's been decreases, they're all separate items that go into that impact to the customers, $7.81. The main driver in all of it, had to look at one thing, natural gas prices, which the commission has no regulatory authority. We are looking to project those costs at a better projection for the coming year, at least from a conservative standpoint of looking at not worst case scenario, not best case scenario, but somewhere that's a little worse than what it is now, anticipating that there could be obviously higher costs.
Right.
Secondly, going ahead and biting the bullet on much of these to prohibit and to try to stave off a compounded rate increase in 2023. Thirdly, staff is committed to a 90-day review of these fuel operations and programs and purchases and to what their impacts are. See if the Lord were to open the heavens and we were to have a huge over recovery, then in those 90 days we'd be back here. Ms. Cody would be saying, my recommendation is, Mr. Mayor, you'd be saying, let's bring those rates down and account for that in 90 days rather than waiting for the regular factor. But every one of these things that are increases, then decreases, increases, decreases, would it be fair to say that the 90% driver in there are spot market or contracted for or hedge programs related to natural gas all in the wholesale market?
That is 100% correct.
And the impact of all of that, taking into account, trying to lessen impacts to customers this year, but not going so far off of it that you have a wild-eyed approach, is $7.81. I'm just trying to make that clear, because I know we've gone through, Stephen, 50 different, 5 different items here that are increases, decreases, 4 cents, $4 million in one case, $14 million in the next. That's a $7.81, 90% driven by wholesale natural gas prices.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay. All right, so the item on the table is item number 6, with proposed order related to the return restructuring customer bill credit. So we have a motion to approve that order. Motion to approve order. Motion by Commissioner Bailey, do we have a second? I second down, what I'm saying. I'm looking to the foot with Commissioner, Maxwell, because he may be muted. You can't say it's your motion, can you? I was in a board meeting one time, I was making somebody 30, so I guess you can do that. All right, any discussion on item number 6? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no, aye. Okay, item number 7, discussion and possible action regarding proposed order document number 2021, UN 177. Entity Mississippi, notice of intent of Entity LLC to change rates to offer a prepaid electric service option, Mr. Mayor.
On October 29th, 2021, Energy email filed a notice of intent to make routine changes in rates and schedules related to its proposed prepaid electric service option. In conjunction with emails, prepaid proposals, the company is seeking approval for its prepaid electric service option, PES 1 rate schedule. Schedule PES specifies which email customers are eligible to sign up for this voluntary offering. Schedule PES also describes enrollment, application, disconnection, and withdrawal process. Email proposes a change rate option, voluntary billing option to facilitate expanded choice and convenience for customers. It is a customer-centric service offering that allows qualifying residential customers to buy a dollar amount of electricity in advance of using that electricity. After the customer establishes a prepaid account balance, the utility then deducts the cost of each day's usage from the customer's prepaid account balance. With the service, customers can add funds to their prepaid account through online, telephone, or quick payment centers. They can monitor what remains on their own balance online via computer or mobile device, or by calling 1-800-ENERGY. A zero or negative prepaid account balance makes the customer eligible for disconnection of service following multiple notifications and subject to certain moratoriums. Service can be restored quickly after payment is received by the company. When service is restored, the customer is not assessed the late fees, disconnect fees, or reconnect fees. And security deposits are not required for prepaid service. The main benefits of prepaid include control over when and how much you prepay, heightened awareness of electrical usage related to billing amounts, and a reduction in fees. Customers must have qualifying AMI technology installed. The customer with existing areas may enroll if the area's balance is no more than $200. Customers will be allowed to transfer up to $200 area balance to their prepaid account, called a debt recovery balance after it's transferred to the prepaid account. The customer will receive prepaid service while paying the debt recovery balance over time. To accomplish this, EML will apply 25% of each payment the customer makes to the debt recovery balance, and then apply 75% of each payment or the customer's prepaid account balance until the debt recovery balance is paid in full. There are no enrollment fees for prepaid service. Customers will be required to establish an initial prepaid service balance of at least $30. The $30 figure represents the average weekly cost of electricity for EML residential electric customers, so this amount is designed to ensure there are sufficient funds for approximately 1 week's worth of typical usage when first enrolling in prepaid. There's no minimum amount required for adding funds to the prepaid service balance. However, once customers' prepaid balance has reached zero or negative, the customer needs to bring the account to at least $1 positive balance to avoid disconnection the next business day. Staff has reviewed the following, issued data requests, and reviewed the responses. Staff recommends approval of the proposed order implementing prepaid through the PSC rate schedule.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Maybe not as many questions, certainly a statement on this. This is certainly as described by the staff, Mr. Baker, that this is a voluntary tool, an effort to provide as many potential services and options for payment as possible, to provide as much flexibility for consumers. While I am going to, make a motion in support of this, certainly have some concerns about the operations and the ability, as we know through the AMI rollout and through certain information, that there still is a sizable number of customers in the EML footprint that still do not either have access to growth to net, disconnect or reconnect, or have an AMI meter installed for various reasons. And we know through our customer complaint portal from our employees that there are still some unresolved issues around two-way communication in the network. While not widespread, there are gaps there that still need to be resolved. And we just want to ensure that Entergy and their staff, their technicians, are doing everything they can to resolve these issues, these gaps in communication and potential customer service, and to ensure that everybody wants this option, will have it based on the complete rollout and functionality of the AMI system and communications process. I know this continues to be a growing tool across the nation, and I think, there's tens and tens of millions of people who utilize this service. I just want to make sure as it gets rolled out that while we are understanding there are applicability, there are eligibility restrictions, and customers need to know that participating in this does disclude them, is that a word? Disallows them for participation in other programs as well. So I hope as part of this, it's a very comprehensive educational program through the outreach side of it, as this program can be rolled out to know what the pros and cons, the benefits, and what barriers are to access other programs along the way. And I think we even went as far as resolving some of the questions around LIHEAP application and ability to participate in that, and how that information is shared with the appropriate agencies, community action agencies, government agencies for potential low-income customers. With that, I make a motion to approve the recommendation of the staff as presented.
All right, thanks, sir. One question, Mr. Baker, could you talk about eligibility for that?
Yes, sir. I don't have all the facts in front of me, but you have to have advanced metering technology.
And that would be how many existing energy customers now? And they can answer that if you want to. Percentage-wise, of your customers.
So, Commissioner, there are only approximately 3,000 of our customers that don't have it, either through,
That do not
that
have,
do not have it.
out of how many?
About over 450.
So you got 91%, something like that, of your customers would be eligible for prepaid?
Well, no, because that's not the only requirement.
That's what I was gonna say, let's go through all those requirements. But I'm saying there's advanced, I understand it, if there are other requirements and there's besides that, but I'm saying that, well, other qualifiers, you don't know who's gonna move from one day to the next,
That's
from one
right.
place to the other. So maybe why don't you walk us through these qualifications real fast and then I can respond.
I think it might be quicker for Ms. Raby to do it.
That's fine, that's okay.
So it's really about being eligible for it, and so certain customers who have medical conditions that where, you know, there are exigent circumstances where they wouldn't be able to access oxygen or things like that, they are not qualified for the program. So it's really more like eligibility in that sense, as opposed to disqualifying for access. Primarily, it's the access for the AMI meters. So, for example, if you're a customer who is on oxygen, you're not eligible for prepaid, because the way that prepaid works, we do not believe that that is appropriate for such a customer. So we do not want you to have to prepay for your power and then not be able to adequately or reasonably
Because of
access that.
life-threatening illness.
Exactly, because of a life-threatening
So
illness.
your position is that the arrearage model
Is a more appropriate
more
for that
appropriate
customer.
for a life threat, that customer's obviously still protected for under the other rules that the commission has. What are the other qualifications? Or let's talk about the disqualifications.
So, I think those are the primary ones that we've discussed with the Commissioner.
So, I would qualify as a member of the very bottom range of the middle class, for your program.
I'm sorry.
I said I would qualify
Absolutely.
for your program.
I'm assuming you have an AMI meter.
Assuming you do, I'm in the 91% of people who have an AMI meter,
That's right.
and I'm not, and I would qualify.
That's correct.
And when do you anticipate finishing up the next 3,000?
In the next 6 months.
Okay.
And some of those 3,000 are people who have volunteered, who decided they do
That's
not
not-
want the meters.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So essentially, at 6 months, this will encompass 100% of your customers, except those who voluntarily opt out of having AMI at their home, or they have a life-threatening illness that just for public health, welfare, and protection of that individual home, they're not qualified for. Those are the only two factors, correct?
Yes,
Everybody else is available.
primarily yes.
Primarily, there are a few exceptions if you live in an apartment complex or things like that.
Or there's that distribution. Yeah, I get that.
So Commissioner Bailey alluded to this earlier, that there are certain programs that if you're a prepaid customer, you will not be allowed to be on other rate schedules. So if you decide that you want to be a prepaid customer, you cannot currently be a net metering customer. So prepaid customers will not be eligible to be in net metering, but you could decide, I do not want to be in net metering, and I want to.
The issue with that is the whole trying to calculate it.
Absolutely. I was trying to get to the crux of your question about access to the program.
I just don't want the impression to be left that a large swath of energy customers are going to be left out of prepaid.
That's exactly right.
So, I mean, as I understand it, we got 91% of them, in 6 months, we're going to have almost all of them. If you don't have it, it's because you don't have AMI at your house, and if you can't qualify, it's because you're on oxygen or have a life-threatening illness. It's be better that you be left out there and literally energy toes the nose for 30 days on your power to keep you alive, right?
That's correct. And so the other exceptions that Mr. Mabry may have been referring to are ones that the customer voluntarily can choose because he or she may want to be a net metering customer as opposed to a prepaid customer, but it's not the access issue you're talking about.
I just didn't want the impression to be left that we're picking and choosing,
That's correct.
or that we're doing an income-based test.
That's correct.
I had extensive experience with prepaid in my district with Ford County Electric Power Association, which has done a massive job. If you think prepaid doesn't work, come to a college town where the college students may spend it on liquor and cigarettes, and mom and daddy send it for the light bill, and mother and daddy then can put it straight to the power bill. Really works well in college town for that. The other thing that I've been interested in this whole time that we've not talked about here today is the benefit of this is or informational-based energy efficiency. We have a lot of discussion in this agency about energy efficiency, some of which ain't worth the paper it's written on. Some of the programs are. But what we know about prepay, based on studies that have been published, is that the average customer is on prepay because they're getting that information delivered to them. They are getting it, and they at many times are 10% reduced their usage of electricity. Guess what? They ain't waiting for that bill to arrive 30 days later. I don't want the impression to be left with anybody in the press, because we're not broadcasting today, because our machine's broke, that this program is not going to be widely available. I wish it's available to everybody in the state, Mississippi Power, everybody, because this is a very good program, and I appreciate you working on it. I just want to get those facts out there. How many people are not going to be in the program, what those disallowances are, who's not going to be able to participate. Because I don't want anybody leaving with the impression that we're leaving out a big swath of the customer base. All right, thank you. I second Commissioner Bailey's motion. Any discussion?
I just wanted to make, before we move on, I just want to assure that that's the whole point of the comments of the point about a comprehensive education outreach component of it. There's no doubt that there's going to be certain disallowances or things that are not appropriate for that. Certainly want to try to single that out, but this needs to be a comprehensive outreach program to inform folks what the efforts are and where that falls into it. And also this is going to be, as you well know, very technologically centered. So depending on a valid high-speed internet service, cell service, signal, things like that, so folks can remain up to date. And we know the challenges around the state that that provides. Again, customers just need to be aware of what that entails to be day-to-day engaged on this type of program.
I just offer one more comment to a vote. I think a good place for that to start within this agency, because as customers call with complaints around their bill, if they live in Ford County Electric Power Association's territory, the first thing we say to them is, you're upset about your disconnection, will you swap over to prepay? And it's a very handy tool for consumer complaints related to high bills, disconnections, and others, so maybe we can help that. All right, any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, aye. It's moved to item number 8 on the agenda. That's discussion of possible action regarding proposed order docket 2021 against 181 Mississippi Power Company, notice Mississippi Power. They're filing a fuel cost recovery and energy cost management factor for February of 2022 through January of 2023. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. On December 3rd, 2021, Mississippi Power Company filed its annual proposed fuel cost recovery, or FCR2, and energy cost management, or EPM2, factors to be applied to customer bills for the first billing cycle in February. The FCR2 rider is the company's fuel adjustment clause, for which it is allowed to recover the actual cost of fuel burned and purchased energy pursuant to Mississippi Code 77342. The EPM2 rider is designed to recover the company's natural gas hedging costs, carrying costs, and certain emission group consulting costs that are excluded from recovery in the fuel adjustment clause. If implemented as calculated, the factors as filed on December 3rd, as originally calculated, the factors would result in an increase in billing of $6.58 per month per residential customer, with a monthly usage of 1,000 kilowatt hours. In an effort to mitigate the bill impact to customers, MPC proposed to temporarily defer recovery of the SBR under recovery equal to $22.88 million, conditioned on the Commission establishing MPC's weighted average cost of capital as the carrying cost rate to be applied going forward to SBR EPM over recovery under recovery balances. MPC's mitigation proposal would result in a $3.86 increase to the monthly bill of 1,000 kilowatt hour residential customer. In other words, MPC's mitigation proposal would reduce impact to customers by $2.82. Working with the staff, MPC and staff agreed that a 50% deferral would mitigate the potential for additional fuel increases in 2023. MPC and staff proposed to temporarily defer the recovery of 50% of the SDR under recovery equal to $11.44 million in 2022, with the remaining 50% to be recovered in 2023. In addition, on the commission establishing MVC's weighted average cost of capital as the carrying cost rate to be applied going forward to SDR ECN over under recovery balances. The MVC staff mitigation proposal would result in a $5.27 increase in the monthly bill of the thousand kilowatt-hour residential customer. In other words, MVC staff mitigation proposal would reduce the impact to customers by $1.41. And this is in conjunction with the ECR board we discussed earlier.
Any questions on item number 8? Might we have a motion to approve item 8?
Motion approved as presented.
I'll second that.
Second.
Discussion. Yes, sir. Oh, we got you second. All right. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Item number 9. Discussion and possible action regarding proposed order in document number 2015 UN 109, Spire Mississippi Incorporated. Notice that Spire Mississippi Incorporated is filing for routine changes in rate stabilization adjustment rider, RSA. Mr. Mayor.
Spire filed its annual rate stabilization adjustment rider on August 23rd, 2021, presenting the company's verifiable historical data for the 12 months ended June 30th, 2021. The filing indicated an allowed return on equity of 9.83%, with an earned return on equity of 6%. Indicating a revenue adjustment increase of approximately $842,000 is warranted. Staff reviewed the company's filing along with numerous data requests. Responses, staff proposed several adjustments to the company's filing figures. On January 13th, the company and staff entered into a joint stipulation to decrease rate base by approximately $268,000. In addition to the reduction in rate base, the staff and company agreed that operating expenses should be reduced by approximately $442,000 for expenses disallowances, along with related adjustments to interest expenses and taxes. With reductions in rate base and operating expenses, staff adjustments decreased the total revenue requirement by approximately $442,000. Spoke a little bit earlier. There are $244,000 of expense disallowance. Stipulated revenue adjustment of approximately $300,000, $440,000 results in a monthly increase of 68 cents. And staff has thoroughly reviewed following and supporting documentation and satisfied that the results as stipulated represent fair and reasonable revenue requirements. Accordingly, staff recommends approval of the order adopting the joint stipulation.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Is that a motion to approve item 9?
Motion approved as presented.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Agenda item number 1, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order in document 2021 UA 160, Level 3 Telecom of Mississippi LLC, petition for partial discontinuation services. Cinema, I think is going to file.
I believe Mr. Martin is out today.
You're going to have it then?
Yes,
ma'am.
Mr. Martin. On September 29th, Level 3 filed a petition to discontinue certain local exchange services in Horn Lake, Olive Branch, and South Haven. The discontinuances are the result of the expiration of leases to physical space, housing switches in the area. There were 2 customers purchasing affected services at the time of Level 3 filing. As of January 12th of this year, 1 customer had already disconnected the service, and the other was in the process of porting to another provider. The staff has reviewed the petition and spoken with counsel for the company and finds the petition to be ordered. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you, ma'am. Any discussion on the item? Not that motion to approve that.
Motion approved.
Motion by Commissioner Bailey, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Maxwell. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes.
Aye.
Two, discussion of possible action regarding the proposed ordinance document number 2021 UA 174, Franklin Telephone Company Incorporated, petition to discontinue alarm service. Ms. Kruger, you want to have that too?
My notes say this is document number 2021 UA 165. Do I have it? Is it 2021 UA 174?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it got it.
So it is, just for purposes of the record, it's 2020 UA 174. You have Franklin Telephone?
I have it. I
Yes,
have it.
yes, sir, that's 174.
On October 21st, Franklin filed a petition to discontinue 16 alarm service used by 8 customers. The company no longer has copper facilities that are upgrading the service area to fiber optic facilities, and these specific services will not work over fiber. Customers received written notifications that included information about replacement services offered by Franklin and other providers, so customers will not be left without options for alarm services. After January 12, 2022, all customers have either moved to a new provider or made arrangements with Franklin for an upcoming migration to a different service provider. Franklin has agreed to ensure all customers are served by a new service provider before permanently discontinuing the service. Staff has reviewed the petition and spoken with counsel for the company, as well as Tom Griffin at Franklin Telephone. Staff finds the petition to be in order and recommends approval.
Thank you, Ms. Kruger. Any discussion on item number 2? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve item 2 as presented.
Motion is presented by staff.
All right, we have a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Maxwell. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those no, the ayes.
Aye.
Moving to water. We're moving to the water and sewer agenda. Discussion of possible action regarding proposed order docket number 2021 UA 171 Greenview Sewer LLC in the city of Olive Branch. Order approved transfer. Ms. Taylor.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner. This is an order to approve the petition filed jointly by Greenview Sewer and the city of Olive Branch on October 19, 2021. In their joint petition, the parties request that Commission completely transfer the certificate of public convenience and necessity for sewer service that was issued to Greenview in docket number 2006 UA 647 and to transfer it to Olive Branch. The certificate area contains land more than 1 mile from the corporate limits of Olive Branch, but less than 5 miles from those limits. Due and proper notice of the tendency of the proceeding has been given. The Commission has jurisdiction over the matter. There have been no interventions, objections, protests, or comments filed in the docket. Olive Branch is ready, willing, fit, and able to construct, operate, and maintain the sewer system, which Greenview Sewer intends to install for residential development in the certificated area. The parties have demonstrated the public convenience and necessity of the Commission's approval of the transfer. The parties here have acted in negotiated in good faith, and the transaction is in the best interest of the city residents and the consuming public. There are no current customers within the certificated area, but the future customers will be charged in accordance with the approved tariff on file with the Commission. There are no current customers, because there are no current customers within the certificated area, there's no deposit transfer, no need to transfer the deposits. No acquisition adjustments have been requested by Olive Branch. Of the public utility staff recommends approval of the transfer by the Commission. For these reasons, the Commission should approve the sale and transfer of the CPCN held by Greenview Sewer to the city of Olive Branch, subject to the terms of the agreement, representation of the parties in the docket, and the Commission should remove Greenview Sewer LLC from the state database of active sewer providers because they're no longer going to be serving any customers.
Thank you, ma'am. I move we approve that. Second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bailey. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those no, the ayes.
Aye.
Item number 2. Discussion of possible action regarding the proposed order docket 2021 UA 172 city of Olive Branch for a supplemental CPC.
Thank you. This is a companion filing of the other. This is for to grant the petition filed by the city of Olive Branch, also on October 19, 2021. This is seeking a supplemental certificate of public convenience and necessity to construct and maintain an operating sewer system within a specified area of DeSoto County, which is adjacent to the certificated area, which has been transferred now in docket 2021 UA 171 to Olive Branch. Granting this petition in the docket will allow Olive Branch to extend its sewer service area to accommodate the future development occurring within the proposed certificated area in the foreseeable future. The commission has jurisdiction to decide the matter due and proper notice the tendency of this proceeding has been given. There are no motions to intervene, objections, protests, or comments filed in the docket. Olive Branch is ready and willing to be able to construct, operate, and maintain the sewer system in the additional area requested. Olive Branch has demonstrated the public convenience and necessity of the expansion of its sewer service into the additional area requested. On the advice of the public utility staff, the commission should grant Olive Branch the supplemental CPCN for the area fully described in Exhibit A of the order.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. I move we approve that.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Bailey, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
Aye.
All right, moving to administrative agenda, we'll move to item 1, discuss the possible action regarding to the commission minutes for December 2021 meeting, changes to the minutes that need to be made. If not, we have a motion to approve those as presented.
Motion to approve as presented.
All right, do we have, I
Second.
second that. Do we have any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no.
Aye.
All right, moving to item number 2, discuss the possible action regarding the proposed order in docket 2021-2819. This is the Public Service Commission order inviting final written comment, setting hearing on the proposed final changes to the net metering rule. Mr. Hammond.
Thank you, Commissioner. Before you is an order accompanied by redline versions of the proposed final modifications to the Mississippi Renewable Energy Net Metering Rule and the Mississippi Distributed Generator Interconnection Rule. Quick procedural note, proposed changes to the rules reflected in Exhibit A and B. Parties are directed to file final written comments on the proposed revisions no later than February 1st, 2022. The order before you sets a public hearing on the final proposed rule modifications on Tuesday, February 8th, 2022. Summarizing some of the proposed changes to the rule, the Commission's proposed revisions to the rule include amendments that are intended to provide greater price certainty to existing and prospective net metering customers. First, the non-quantifiable benefits adder of 2.5 cents and the low-income benefit adder of 2 cents, if applicable, shall remain in place for a period of 25 years from the date the customer begins taking some service under an IOU's net metering tariff. The order before you finds that the new pricing commitment provisions will make the economics of distributed generation more certain for customers and therefore assist in making the marketing, evaluation, and decision-making process more conducive to adoption in areas served by rate-regulated utilities in the state. In relation to the low-income benefit adder of 2 cents, the qualifying percentage is adjusted from 200% of the federal poverty level to 250%. Capacity limit references for distributed generator facilities have been revised to reference alternating current rather than direct current. In addition to the changes to the rule, the order before you provides for additional measures that the Commission finds will improve net metering adoption in the state. Throughout this proceeding, most of the parties agree that providing assistance in the form of an upfront rebate could assist in removing some of the financial barriers to customer adoption of distributed generation, particularly among low-income customers. The Commission believes an upfront rebate could prove more effective in enhancing low-income adoption, more than a per kilowatt-hour price increase because of the reduced availability of capital and funding options available to low-income customers. To that end, the Commission has designed a rebate framework it believes will meaningfully enhance both access to and the adoption of distributed generation. The order before you order that in their respective annual energy delivery dockets established under Rule 29 of the Commission's Public Utility Rules of Practice and Procedure, E&L and MPC are hereby directed to make a compliance tariff filing within 60 days following a final order adopting changes to the net metering rule, consistent with the following. Each electric IOU shall offer a one-time $3,000 upfront cash rebate to any retail residential customer who is also eligible for the low-income benefit adder, purchasing a renewable distributed energy facility sized between 3 kW and 6 kW to be used in part, at least in part for self-supply. Each electric IOU shall offer an additional $1,000 cash rebate to any retail residential customer if the retail residential customer receives an approved home energy audit and implements energy efficiency measures that are reasonably expected to result in annual savings of 1,000 kilowatt hours. Only one $3,000 distributed energy facility upfront cash rebate and one $1,000 energy efficiency investment rebate shall be made available to each eligible retail customer account. Sufficient proof of purchase must be provided prior to receipt of any $3,000 rebates. Sufficient proof of an expected reduction of KWH consumption must be provided prior to receipt of any $1,000 rebate. The total annual rebate amount shall not exceed 2% when IOU's residential retail sales for the calendar year 2020. The cost of the rebate shall be accounted for and recovered through rates in the same manner as the demand-side management program established under Rule 29. The rebate program shall begin following the Commission's approval of the above-mentioned compliance filings and shall end 5 years from the date of the IOU's implementation of those respective programs. Second, at the outset of this rulemaking proceeding, the Commission requested stakeholder input on what measures or mechanisms should be considered to better enable schools, state and local government bodies to participate in net metering. After review of the comments, the Commission is convinced that access to renewable energy for public schools is in the public interest and therefore directs email and MPC within 60 days following a final order adopting changes to the net metering rule to file proposed solar for schools offerings for the Commission's consideration. Attached to the order is an Exhibit C, providing some additional guiding principles to AD and mail in those filings. Just summarizing those briefly, there'll be 3 options listed on that Exhibit C for public school districts, a list of which is curated by the Mississippi Department of Education. Some general guidance: again, a single school district may participate in any combination of 3 options. No participating school district can exceed a total amount of 3 megawatts DC from the combination of options. Capacity limitations per school district shall be based on the lesser of the solar capacity necessary to not exceed 110% of the aggregate annual usage of the school district's meters served by the IOU or 3 megawatts. Total capacity associated with the combination of the 3 options shall be combined with the total capacity associated with net metering or any similar or related commissioning program in determining distribution level solar capacity equals or exceeds 3% of IOU's retail peak load. The first option that will be available for these public school districts is a third-party solar for school power purchase agreement. How that would work: a solar developer would negotiate a PPA cost with the school district, and IOU would pay the third-party solar developer a negotiated rate. The IOU would credit the school district the excess energy and avoided cost rate approved by the Commission for net metering plus 4.5 cents. What that comprises is a 2.5 cent non-quantifiable benefit adder plus a school adder of 2 cents. A single PPA may be associated with each school district. Solar facility supplying the power must be located in the county of the school district and within the certificated area of the IOU and physically interconnected to the IOU's distribution system. PPA life will be 25 years, which is the reported life of the solar facility. And those PPAs shall be offered on a first-come, first-served basis. The second option would be a school district owned behind the meter net metering with a public school adder and export credit distribution among accounts. That is similar to some of the meter aggregation language that is found in the Commission's revisions to the net metering rule. That would allow all metered school accounts served by the IOU and listed on a standard application form to participate in a school district-owned solar facility. Solar facility output would be first allocated to a single school meter physically connected to the solar facility for net metering purposes. That'd be the primary meter. The IOU shall then allocate dollar credits resulting from net excess energy that exceeds the load of the primary meter account over the course of the monthly billing period to the remaining school accounts listed on that standard application form. The solar facility must be built within 1 mile of the primary meter, all still within the IOU certificated area and connected to the IOU's distribution system. And that solar facility must be electrically connected to the primary meter. The IOU shall credit the primary meter and additional meter accounts for excess energy at a void cost rate approved by the Commission plus the 4.5 cents mentioned in option 1. The third option is a traditional net metering as we have it. School district owns behind the meter net metering at a void cost plus 4.5 cents, 2.5 cents for the benefits adder as well as the 2 cents. Proposed, again, just procedurally, the proposed changes to the net metering rule, Exhibit A attached to the order, the interconnection rule, Exhibit B, this Exhibit C is the guidance for the solar for schools. Written comments due February 1st, public hearing set for February 8th, 2022. I'll take any questions, but Commission legal staff recommends approval of the order.
Any questions on this side?
No questions, I just, appreciate the effort. I mean, there's no doubt that we started this effort 1 year ago this month. Here we are with, on the cusp of adopting really some would say an innovative rule, that begins to allow and create and certainly affect additional support, participation, and growth of an industry that has existed in the state, but has, really just sort of hobbled along. I see the net metering rule and the refinement that's been made, with the input of a wide range of stakeholders in this process, and our appreciation to everyone who's participated thus far. We still get another chance to further tighten this up over the next couple of days in preparation for our public hearing here on February 8th. But I think some of the steps that we've taken with this, as explained by Mr. Hammond, will do a lot toward putting us on a path to more participation, greater job creation, investment here in the state, and more choice for consumers, with the ability to interconnect and, of course, self-supply, as the original rule that was adopted back in 2015. These other components certainly do well for public education, emboldening and lightening for educational purposes, the opportunities for students to engage, become aware of these new technologies and what that entails.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Just offer one comment. The February 8th date that we're referencing, we're going to get to changing the February 8th date. My understanding is February 8th is a good day for all the parties, as far as the commission officers to come back and meet to hold that public hearing. As Mr. Bailey said, it does give a moving forward. This gives us a clock to start ticking on those necessary provisions of the Administrative Procedures Act, and hold the hearing and have the days run. So, did you make a motion to approve, Mr. Bailey?
I certainly will. I make a motion to approve, this proposed rule and the process for moving towards, or accepting the next phase of public comments and moving toward our, public hearing. Okay. I guess I should say that, yes, we have to fix that.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, ayes.
Aye.
All right, move to item 3, discussion and possible action regarding establishment of rulemaking documents related to proposed Mississippi Shared Renewable Rule. On this particular item, I've just moved for in lieu of opening a rulemaking document to make the following motion. I move that the commission issue an order inviting interested parties to file a proposed rule or plan related to low-income and public entity community solar. Specifically, proposals should benefit low-income communities, public education, and public entities where public lands are owned. Said proposed rules and/or proposals or plans shall be filed within 60 days of today's issuance of an order to this effect, with intervenors having a 20-day period from today to intervene. We encourage parties to intervene in this docket and interested parties to file proposals and to file proposed rules, either one or both. Said proposed rules or programs for low-income community solar and public entity community solar should follow these principles. Number 1, adhere with the Higher Mississippi Rule. Number 2, provide robust economic development opportunities across the state. Number 3, provide quality employment opportunities for Mississippians related to the proposed projects. Number 4, provide appropriate incentives for participation in the projects and of the sector, of the low-income or public entity sector. Number 5, create market opportunities for private sector market development related to these type of projects. And number 6, provide strong consumer protection, truth in billing, and provide for regulatory inspection of project performance and benefits to the general public. I make that form of motion to open that administrative document. These comments or proposed rules or programs could be filed within the next 60 days in the interested party, 20 days from the issuance of this order if it passes, to be part of this docket, and then we will have 60 days for them to make their file. I move that we approve that motion and open that docket.
Second.
Call for it.
Chairman, did you second the motion, Chairman?
I did, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Yeah, I just want to reemphasize, while, you know, we have worked, there's been a lot of work going on in the background to get to this point, understanding some of the potential misunderstandings and, miscommunication along this point, but I certainly see this as an opportunity, hopefully, to start fresh, start from a point. We know that, what we begin with and what we end up with in commission is not always the same thing. And so, I appreciate you coming forward and offering this motion, outlining the principles by which we want to move forward with proposed framework of programs and proposals, that allows, you know, multiple participation and a wide range of participants, in community solar. We have the opportunity through a comment period, of getting everyone's ideas, framework, proposals, plans on paper, on the table, and assemble that in a way that is in the best interest for Mississippi consumers, as well as you mentioned, job growth, economic development, the other principles outlined there. As part of that, do we want to include a component about consultant possibly helping as part of that? Is this, or leave that as part of the conversation?
I'm certainly open to that. My thinking on Commissioner Bailey was that we maybe get into some of the comments and look and see what we have. And I'm certainly open to that idea because I think there's going to be a need at some point. I can pay for that. We'll have to figure that out. But I certainly think at some point we may obviously want to do that once we look at the first round of comments. And I certainly would encourage parties, please come to this with your serious best efforts because, you know, we want to look at this over a 6-day period. But I'm definitely open to that later on. Okay. Have a motion, second, any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those ayes have it. Item number, possible action regarding document number 2018-80-141, order authorizing the public utility staff to contract consultants for purposes related to the regulatory audit functions associated with routine rate plans.
I'll handle that, Commissioner.
Ms. Kruger, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I had the wrong name now.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, Commissioner. Last September, the Commission entered an order in docket number 2018-80-141, authorizing the staff to contract with consultants to optimize the regulatory auditing of routine rate filings, which is a function of the staff. The staff issued an RFP on the Commission website as well as the neighborhood website, and we received 6 proposals. We reviewed those in early December, and after additional discussions, we as the staff determined that United Professionals Company out of New Orleans is the best fit for the project. Several reasons: location, they're 3 hours from Jackson, and their experience with this type of work, among other reasons. And the staff would request that the Commission approve this contract with UPC pursuant to the order entered on September 29th, 2021, and docket 2018-80-141.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions, Mr. Kruger, of the staff on this proposal? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve their recommendation.
Motion to approve recommendation to accept UPC as the consultant.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Bailey. I second that. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those ayes have it. Aye. Discussion and possible action regarding proposed order docket 2003 UN 477, Mississippi, motion to intervene by Rankin County.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is Intermediate Mississippi changing rates through the revised MSC rider adjustments on August 18th. Rankin County filed a motion to intervene. After reviewing the various pleadings in this, before you is an order granting that motion to intervene for Rankin County in this docket.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion to approve that order.
Motion to approve order is presented.
Motion by Commissioner Bailey, second that. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Have it. 6, discussion and possible action regarding docket number 2018 UA 39, Entry, Mississippi, motion of Rankin County to intervene.
Thank you, Commissioner. This is another motion made by Rankin County. This 2018 UA 39 docket was Entergy Mississippi Inc.'s restructuring docket when they became an EML. An issue has popped up that on the website, Entergy's tariffs have that docket number. It's being fixed, but when Entergy redid those tariffs working in that docket, those dockets were where the county went. That docket is no longer a living docket. So this is an order denying that motion to intervene for Rankin County, but what the order does do is point out 2014 UN 132, 2017 UA 189, 2017 UN 198, 2018 UN 258, providing some direction to Rankin County on kind of, I think, where they were looking to go. But this is an order denying that intervention based on, it's a 3-year-old docket.
So, just to be clear, that's denied only because that's a dead document.
Yes, that's correct, Commissioner.
You said, if you want to get in these, here's the ones you need to go and file everything.
That's correct.
Okay. We have a motion to approve that order.
Motion to approve order is then.
All right, motion by Commissioner Bailey, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Maxwell, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no, the ayes.
Aye.
Number 7, possible action regarding proposed order docket 2019 UA 102 Wilco Property. Order of assignment to Great River Utility Operating Company LLC. Application for a supplemental CPCN. Mr. Henry.
Thank you, Commissioner. On June 21st, 2019, Wilco Properties filed a notice seeking a supplemental CPCN to provide wastewater service to the Cypress Trail subdivision in DeSoto County. While that petition has been pending at the commission in 2021 UA 158 approved the sale and transfer of Wilco to Great River Utility Operating Company. The order before you simply substitutes Great River as the party of record in this 2019 UA 102 case. That is still a project that's ongoing to get wastewater service to that subdivision. So that's all.
Any questions on that? Not, we have a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Motion by Commissioner Bailey, and I'll second that.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no, the ayes have it.
Aye.
Number 8, discussion and possible action regarding proposed order docket 1965 UA 1069, Luxahoma Water Service. Order of referral, Mr. Henry.
Thank you, Commissioner. Luxahoma Water Association. This is an order canceling that portion of that certificate. It's actually a companion docket with the next one, but this is just a referral order to Stephanie Taylor for hearing report and recommendation.
Unless it's objection by the commission, it goes the same subject matter when you take up 8 and 9 at the same time.
Yes, sir. 2021, you,
Any objection to that? If not, we'll take up 8 and 9, that's 2021 UA 179 with this. You want to explain number 9 real quick?
yes, Commissioner, that's Senatobia Lakes Estates, Inc. is the utility that's establishing they're establishing an initial certificate for that same area.
Thank you, sir. We'll take up 8 and 9 since those are two. Does 10 and 11 go to Miss Taylor also?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just get them two while we're on.
Okay.
Put it in one motion.
Okay. Do you want to announce number
10 and 11.
Okay, so, 2020 UA 170 Briarwood Waste Control Inc. Wastewater Solutions SA sale and transfer in Lauderdale County, referring to Stephanie. That was the last one, sorry. 2021 UA 162 to Oaks Utilities, that's the utility in Hancock County that's filed to establish initial rates, referring to Stephanie.
We'll take a motion on items 8, 9, 10, and 11. We have a motion to approve those referrals, all 4 of those cases going to Ms. Taylor. Thank you.
Second.
You just said approve all 4 reports from Ms. Taylor on items number 8, 9, and 10, and 11.
Thank you, Commissioner Bailey. Commissioner Maxwell, was that a second?
Yes, sir.
All right, have a second. Any discussion, all in favor say aye. Opposed, no, the ayes have it. Item 12, discussion and possible action regarding the proposed order docket 2021 UA 195 Mississippi Solar 6 LLC.
Hey, that's a, certificate for both me and Stephanie for a solar facility in Lowndes County. This is an order referral to you for hearing.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion on that referral, item 12.
Motion to refer to Commissioner President.
Thank you, sir. Second that. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no, the ayes have it.
Aye.
Item 13, discussion and possible action regarding moving to February, I can't even talk, February February 2022, open meeting of February the 8th at 10 a.m. this morning. We have a motion to move the date to February the 8th.
Motion moved next.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have
Aye.
it. Anything else come to commission? If not, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.